Okay. Hello and welcome back to DMA Brandmasters, where we dive deep into the minds of the brightest stars in marketing. I'm Preeti Hoon, and today we're exploring the intersection of education and marketing. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button for more marketing revelations. Our guest today is, as you can see, Abhinav Upadhyay, the Chief Marketing Officer at CollegeDekho, a beacon in the education sector. With a career spanning nearly 2 decades, wow, Abhinav, he has a track record of transforming brands and driving growth with innovative marketing strategies. In a world where education is more crucial than ever, how does one navigate the marketing challenges during events like the IPL and elections? Abhinav is here to share his playbook on making education accessible and engaging through strategic marketing. So, if you're curious about how marketing can revolutionize the education sector and make a real impact, stay tuned, okay? And let's unravel the marketing strategies that have helped College Dekho stand out in the crowded educational landscape. Welcome, Abhinav.
Pleasure being here, Preeti, and always a pleasure talking to you and to fellow journalists who sort of are spreading the right news and making sure that people are aware of what's going on. So absolute pleasure being here with DMA and with yourself.
Okay, so let's begin with navigating media spends in education sector first. So with your rich experience in marketing, how do you approach media allocation for College Dekho during high profile events such as IPL and elections? And are digital or traditional platforms like more effective for reaching your target audience in the education sector?
I think Preeti, for any sector, be it education or fintech that I've done earlier or telecom that I've done earlier, I think one needs to stick to the basics, and the basics start from knowing your audience. I think if you know the audience, where it resides and what is the media that it consumes, it's imperative that we stick to that basic knowledge and then start the media planning process and the media budget allocation process. So if you look at College Dekho, our core role and why we exist, the reason for existence, our purpose is to help solve the misery of millions of Indian students who
True.
don't access higher education for the lack of guidance. Two, even when they do access higher education, it's with lack of guidance and support being made available. So in India, the gross enrollment ratio in higher education is about 28.3%. Contrast that with the US, the UK, which will be well upwards of 70, 80%. So the point that I'm trying to drive home is millions of Indian students don't have access to college guidance that should be made available to them across this country. So that's the job, the purpose that we have. So
And
if you
by
look
the way, that is despite all the players that we have in the market, it's bombarded, and still the problem, stays the way it is.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and the problem is genesis is twofold, right? So on one side, there's a humongous number of colleges in India, 54,000 plus colleges that exist in India compared to say 5,000 in the United States. And then you have this massive demographic dividend that we talk about, which does not get to access the college for lack of guidance. How do you choose a college? How do you know about a college that exists in a remote part in Andhra Pradesh while you're sitting in Bihar? You're completely clueless about the benefits of that college, the placements over there, the kind of professors they have. So those are the kind of quagmires that we solve at College Dekho. We get about 200 million website sessions annually, and about 50% of all college admits in India come to us for college guidance.
Okay.
So that's how large we are now today. And that's essentially built on trust and credibility that we've driven both with content and with the kind of guidance that we provide for free to all the students across this country. So we don't charge the students anything ever for any services that we offer to them.
Okay,
So
not even counseling?
not even counseling. So we believe that top 5 percentile of India's students will always have better guidance being made available. They know exactly where they want to go, the colleges that they need to prepare for. The teachers pay more attention to them, the parents pay more attention to them. But it's an unfortunate reality that the belly of India's students who come between 50% to 85%, there isn't enough attention being made to them. And contrast this also with the fact, or contextualize it to the fact, that 70% of these learners are first in their family to go to college.
Okay.
So in a scenario like that, you need to, one, be able to attract them with the right kind of content. They have their own questions in their hearts, which they're not getting resolutions for from their teachers or from their tuition teachers or from their parents or families around them.
Right.
So we solve for that by having the right kind of content being placed out there. That is how we drive the website traffic. And once the traffic is through and they get sort of familiarized with the kind of content that is available for every single college in this country, then they come back and drop their leads with us for one-on-one counseling sessions. So the counseling sessions could range from 1 to 5, depending upon how anxious the student is and what are the kind of choices that the kid is looking to make. It's a very data-driven model. So we've been able to, over the last 9 years, being able to use data to cohortize which student emanating from which part of the country and looking for admission in a specific kind of stream through a psychometric test. We're able to
Okay.
figure that out. And then we blend it with data in terms of what college, what fees, what's the paying capacity, et cetera, and are able to make recommendations between 2 to 3 colleges. And 97, 98% of kids who we recommend via this cohortized data-led model, they find a seat in the college of their choice thereafter.
Sure. Abhinav, would you like to focus on IPL and elections, and how do you allocate your media for CollegeDekho during these high-profile events?
Yeah, so
And
during
yeah,
this event, say for this year specifically, both IPL and thereafter the elections will come right after the board exams are through, right? So while the board exams are on, you'll have IPL sort of kicking in, and then it'll run into the election season as well. So at a time like this, students on the other side are extremely anxious, and they have the right sort of questions which they end up asking on Google. And to serve their needs over there, we need to be present and make sure that the content is such that it ranks on Google. So our search engine rankings are very important to us. So we drive a lot of traffic through there. The other part is performance marketing. We drive a lot of performance marketing. So on one side, we create the demand, and then we sort of bring the demand in-house.
okay,
Last bit is we look at sort of presence specifically in tier 2, tier 3 markets with physical presence, both for ourselves as well as for our partner colleges, which make sure that the top of the mind recall is continued across digital search, performance, as well as traditional media. So it's a function of how much incremental value can you drive through traditional media in those respective markets, considering
okay,
these are students of about 17, 18 years of age. So that's
okay.
how
But
we
don't
see very
so
good.
IPL and elections are not a distraction for you?
Oh, they are a massive distraction, actually. They take eyeballs, they take away eyeballs. But where do you place your ads, therefore, becomes very important. So it could be news-led. A lot of kids are looking for snippets of news because parents are not allowing them to sort of watch the matches fully. Uh,
Hmm.
they want to stay updated. So how are we present there? Then during the matches itself, because parents are also the secondary audience, we would like to be present on those places as well. And not just us, any large player which has got the youth as well as sort of the millennials both being targeted, you'd find that they would be present across both sort of OTTs and television, but also across digital at the same time using performance. Yeah.
Digital has your preference right now
Oh,
o-
absolutely.
over
It's
traditional? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the startup and its journeys, right? So during a certain journey process, you start off with performance-led sort of marketing while driving a lot of organic visibility. So for us, the organic traffic is what is the real meat. A lot of edtechs or startups fail in India because of high CACs. I'm very, sort of indebted to my team and to this wonderful bench of people out there who've driven so many organic leads for us. So 80, 90% of our leads are organic. So you can imagine the kind of trust and credibility which we build through the content that we drive.
Sure. So what about the content marketing strategies? If you can tell us more on that. And education requires, conveying complex information in an engaging manner. So could you share some innovative content strategies CollegeDekho has employed to capture the audience's attention during these peak events?
Who knows it better than you, Preeti, on what content should be working in terms of driving traffic and visibility? So for us, content forms the base pillar on which this company is created, right? As I said, 200 million website sessions in a year. It's not going to happen without the right kind of content. And content spans from being text-led, which is complex information about the colleges, the placements, et cetera, being available on templates across the websites, but also in terms of making sure that we've got videos, we've got short form videos, both across YouTube and otherwise on the pages as well. We also use this content sort of remarket using engagement tools and retention marketing tools. So they get sent out at different stages of the journey of the consumer, which keeps pulling them back into the fold. And we are able to sort of convey the value to them for which they stick around with us and recommend us to others. So I would say content marketing spans from strategizing what is the keyword that they will look for in terms of content, creating the content for it in multiple formats, video, text, audio, and thereafter being able to distribute it much better across the website and using media.
Okay. Okay. So, IPL elections and they attract wide and varied demographics. How does College Deco tailor its advertising strategies to engage with diverse student segments during these times?
Preeti, I think marketing is psychology meets capitalism, right? So that's essentially what it is. During this time, we have to think about what is the student thinking. Till class
Right.
12, every day, the student has a specific life to lead. Get up in the morning, wear your uniform, go to school, come back, play, come back. Board exams are done. The kind of anxiety that this belly of India's students face is crazy. They are looking for guidance actively. It's not like I have to go out there and sell something to them. The demand for education already exists. The search already exists. As long as we're able to address the demand with content, and whether that content is through advertising, or whether that content is through long form videos or short form videos, or content being made available on the platform, you'd find that kids will come. And
Hmm.
irrespective of an IPL, irrespective of the general elections, the students, their anxieties have to be addressed. And despite the distraction of the IPL, despite the distraction of the general elections, you'd find that students and their dilemmas exist forever. And we've now learned it over a period of time that during a specific season, the demand, the searches for courses, exams, categories will continue to hike through the roof. And we need to be present both with performance as well as traditional media to be able to sort of be in their minds, and then being able to generate the leads for us to serve.
Sure. But what about digital transformation? Has it reshaped every sector you think that, including education? And how has the shift impacted College Dekho's approach to marketing, especially during large scale events like, IPL and elections?
That's a fantastic question, right, Preeti? You look at our own school days, and you look at the school days today, and you can see that both across higher education and K-12, there's a massive amount of transformation that has happened digitally. We
Yeah.
are a digital first company,
Okay.
right? Uh, we we've started. There is no physical presence that we have except,
Correct.
right. So
Yeah.
ours is largely around. So we're democratizing access to college, and thereafter bringing new skills into the colleges. So those are the two large themes that we drive. So at a time like this, specifically around COVID, you'd find that a lot of colleges which were very traditional by nature also adopted players like us and saying, you know what, we've learned the value of using the power of digital to drive not just leads and sort of enrollments for ourselves, but also help us understand what are the new age digital skills that the students need to learn. So we're also sort of partnering with universities and colleges and co-curating degree programs with them.
Okay.
Colleges will provide the degrees, but we're bringing the new age skill learning to their doorstep. It's called CollegeDekho Assured. So if
I
it's a
see.
tech computer science degree, we're helping them co-curate a degree which is super specialization in machine learning and artificial intelligence, because they are the new age digital skills. And we bringing the learning, we bringing the content for AI and ML while the university teaches the rest of the courses. So those are some of the interventions that are happening. On the other side, you'd find that nearly all the colleges who work with us, and we work with nearly all the large colleges and universities of this country, they've realized that the power of distribution that we have built across this country. It's rare that you'll find somebody with 200 million website sessions and addressing 50% of India's college admits every year.
Hmm.
There's no other player in this country like that across any segment. Forget education. There's nobody
Okay.
like that across any segment.
So
And
are
that's
these physical degrees only or online degrees as well? Like most of the players out there are also doing, like I don't want to name them, but there are quite plethora of startups which are giving online skill certifications and degrees. So you're doing only physical tie-ups?
it's a mix of the two. Let me
Okay.
enumerate on that a little bit. So what
Okay.
happened is that while there are a lot of players who offer an online certification or a diploma, or in conjunction with a university, a degree as well, the everything works under the UGC when it comes to higher education.
Right.
The degree eventually has to be provided by the university. So we've learned, so while we offer certificates, etc., as well, we've learned that the CACs in the certification business, etc., could be very high. That's why you see a lot of edtechs fail. In our case, we learned very quickly that the power of distribution that we have. Today, we work with thousands of colleges and universities across this country. We have information for 40,000 colleges available on our platform. That is why so many students are coming to me. So I'm going back to the universities and saying, you know what? Students in your area are demanding learning in machine learning and artificial intelligence. Why don't you customize your CS degree program?
Okay.
I know that you don't have the professors to teach machine learning or artificial intelligence. I will bring in the professor. I will do the enrollment. I
Okay.
will bring in the specialized learning and content. And I will also prepare these students that you have in a tier two, tier three college or in a tier two, tier three city to appear for interviews. So that's what we do today. And we
How has
believe
been the response?
oh, it's been fantastic. We actually acquired a couple of companies in this domain. We acquired Imagine XP, Prep Bytes. They used to specialize in design degrees and also in engineering and management education. And by bringing them on board, so I would just say on their own, they used to do X. With us, they've done 10X in the first year. And our ARPUs have jumped 10X because of this as well. So in a way, brings lifetime value, increases the lifetime value of the consumer for us for the next 4 years, if they're doing a 4-year program, or 3 years if they're doing a 3-year program. Whereas earlier we were only doing enrollment and guidance,
Okay, so
which
you agree that the marriage of digital and traditional and the offline will always remain. It cannot be just entirely digital because you were a digital first and now you are, making the shift to offline in a
well,
way where
some
you
of the learnings that we provide, they're hybrid by nature. Some of
right,
the learnings with the students are done online, some of them are done offline, but the universities are offline, right? So we also, a lot of students are staying within the campuses, so we need to be able to go and address those students out there as well. It does not change too much for us because for us the costs work very well, Preeti. So in a city like say Jaipur, if we have multiple college partners, we're able to optimize cost because for the faculty being present in the college by the college, it's a full-time cost for that person.
yeah,
For us, we can distribute the cost across multiple colleges, and therefore, while we've also brought new revenue streams for them by bringing in new enrollments for their new degree program, we're also helping them with training, and eventually we're also going to help prepare the students for placement. So I think for the universities also, it's a win-win. They get great new learning, a bunch of new students, and hopefully at the end of it all, we can drive outcome-based education, because one of the biggest challenges in higher ed has been that India's college graduates don't get the jobs that they need. And that's
right.
largely because we haven't driven the new age learnings that are needed for today's digital economy, which is
Okay.
what is driving today.
Sure, sure. What about measuring the ROI in education marketing? And can you discuss the tools and metrics you have used to measure the ROI of your advertising investments during significant events like we just, have focus on IPL and elections? How
Yes.
do these differ, and how do these differ from other sectors you have worked in?
Yeah, so I worked in telecom, massive advertising budgets. I worked in Western Union, payments, and all of those segments had very large budgets to sort of play with. On the other hand, the moment you start looking at education, you also understand that it's a very large segment, but you need to be able to drive ROI on an ongoing basis because most of us are startups, right? A lot of us are startup players, and as a company, CollegeDekho, we'll drive close to 300 crores in revenue. And as Ruchir had earlier mentioned, he's our founder. He'd mentioned that we'll be unit profitable anyway. Quarter basis, we'll be profitable this quarter. In a scenario like that, ROI is the number one game that we work with. So none of us have that mindset we need to grow at 10x while not being mindful of the unit economics, right? So this
Okay.
company grows 80 to 90% every year while being unit positive on everything that we operate in. So advertising or marketing spends are no exception, be it IPL, be it the general elections and the frenzy around it. So because the amount of media buzz that is already existing during this time, one,
Right.
breaking the clutter is very tough. So you need to be able to create content that sort of, and how are you measuring the CTRs on that? How are you measuring the ROAs on that? Is very, very important. We track it separately from our performance marketing spends, where the funnels are created beautifully. So right from the first impression to the final enrollment in a college, the entire funnel is tracked for drops as well as for efficiency every year. So every touch point that the consumer or the customer, in this case, the college has with us, we try and optimize that just a wee bit day on day throughout the season, and you'd find that is how we're able to sort of lower our CACs. Our CACs are one of the lowest in this country. Our revenue to investment ratio is one of the highest, and that's one of the reasons why despite the doom and gloom in the edtech space, we're doing so well in this country, in this great country.
And what's your take on heavily funded startups in this space? And they don't shy away from hiring brand ambassadors and advertising so heavily during these periods. So how do you place yourself in that zone?
Yeah, I keep having that conversation with friends, fellow Micans in other industries as well on an ongoing basis. One of the things that, and not just about edtech, right? One of the things that we keep seeing is that people jump on a bandwagon too quickly. So sure, there are influencers which can give you the reach. I want to understand, every time we look at influencers, we want to understand, okay, fine, which influencer is driving the highest ROI in terms of transaction volume or
Okay,
traffic volume back to
sure.
the web. Awareness by itself is not the only criteria. At the end of the day, you need to deliver business results and keep the company sort of making money and driving profits while serving the interests of the consumers that you serve. So, yeah.
Sure. Okay. So balancing the brand and performance, let's talk about that now. And in the education sector, brand trust is paramount, right? You have to build that kind of trust to be, followed. How do you balance brand building activities with performance marketing, especially during events that draw massive national attention?
You know, irrespective of the events, and let me be very honest about it, irrespective of the events, building a brand in the long run is the most cost optimal way of driving long-term value, both for your consumer as for yourself. I'm a Mican. The first thing that we think about is my stakeholders and the touch points they have with the brand. How do we make sure that the experience, the tone and manner of voice, the experience across each touch point can be improved? So that's number one in terms of building the brand, not advertising.
Okay.
Advertising is what you use to sort of convey from your end, but that doesn't mean that the consumer perceives it the same way because their experiences could be horrid. So before you
Correct.
go out there and advertise, make sure that your touch points are solidified and you provide exceptional experience across the board. That's brand for me. And on the other side, when you look at performance and driving growth, I don't think the two are separate. I think they join at the hips. If you build a great brand, the performance of the company will continue to grow.
Okay.
And so you create demand by growing the brand. You build credibility by building exceptional experience and providing great value to the consumer. In our case, the consumer is a student. I don't charge a dime to the student, but I'm able to provide great sort of um, college guidance and enrollment guidance, and eventually even teach them across. I get students from all 28 states and 8 union territories of this country, from Andaman and Nicobar to Ladakh, you name it. I have students coming in from everywhere to seek guidance from us. They come
Okay.
here because we provide great value to them without ever differentiating between where they come from, whether they can pay the fees or not, whether they want to enroll in a partner college or not. I don't care. They are all my brand ambassadors. They are the
Sure.
influencers for me.
Okay.
And eventually, with great word of mouth, we're building a brand that is solid at its foundation, and which is what's driving growth through exceptional consumer experiences and great customer service to our college partners as well. So yeah.
Sure. And what about leveraging influencers like we were just discussing? How critical do you find them? And what about celebrity endorsements? I think I've already asked you this question, but do you think that these are unique considerations in the education sector for, partnership? Do you think that, like you said, the students are your influencers? Indeed. But then to have that kind of impact and reach, I mean, talking about from the advertising angle, you would have to have a known face. You would have to have somebody who is out there speaking about you and creating that kind of impact. So what are your thoughts on that?
I completely agree with you. Awareness. So sudden growth in awareness does lead to sudden growth in business as well. You
Right.
just, as a company or in my role, I need to be mindful of at what stage of the company's journey should I put what kind of money behind which objective. For
Okay.
me, right now, building great value for consumers, providing them the service that they need is what's vital. We have used influencers in the past, but we look at micro influencers, which can drive traction in very small markets as well. We're not looking for general influencers with very large outreach. We typically work with much smaller players. Secondly, when it comes to brand ambassadors, while I've used brand ambassadors for consumer brands in the past, for a brand which is around education, I think there's nothing better than the consumer talking well about you. So I think we'll continue to drive value there. And at a certain stage of the journey of this great company, which is looking to democratize higher education, if one fine day we do believe that we need that massive burst coming through, and we find the right person, maybe that's the time we look at having a brand ambassador. For now, my students are my biggest brand ambassadors.
So you're basically relying on word of mouth instead of spending much on the influencers and then driving
Not
growth
just word of
there.
mouth. They're actually creating content for me while sitting in schools and colleges, and they're posting it out there on their social and tagging me.
Sure.
So I'm
Sure.
getting the reach that I want right from the horse's mouth, and that's the power of distribution that we've built across this country.
Okay, interesting. So what factors guide College Dekho's decision to sponsor events for or IPs during the IPL and elections? And how do you
Uh,
assess the value these sponsorships bring to an education brand like yours?
Great question. So from an IP perspective, while we have one of our own IPs, which is CollegeDekho Sarthi, which takes the online model of college guidance and enrollment into the tier two, tier three cities of this country, and we provide sort of guidance to them over there. But in terms of and in terms of ROI, we look at what is the jump in traffic from those cities, what is the jump in leads from those cities, what is the conversion rate jump from those cities versus other cities. When it comes to other IPs or projects that are going on, we essentially evaluate the same. Can we derive greater value by associating with a property than we would on our own? If the answer is in the affirmative, chances are we will look at sponsoring a property and then building a long-term association with the property. So as a marketer, I
Sure.
can real value is derived when you're out there in the longer run with the property, either your own or somebody else's. Else it's just a short one and doesn't really deliver value for the company.
Sure. And what about the future trends according to you? Given your extensive experience, what are your predictions for the future of advertising in the education sector, particularly during major events like, IPL and general elections?
I think content. So to me, I would say that content is vital. The kind of advertising that you create in a cluttered environment, specifically around large events like the IPL or general elections or any other event of that scale for that matter, if you can't break the clutter, don't be present. If your media spends can't be optimal during that time, don't take it up. Also, you need to back it up by presence in other formats and media at the same time. So you need to have a 360-degree approach, even during large events like these. So just don't sponsor, but be present and activate at a ground level at the same time. That's when you'll derive true value for the investment that you're making and have an and not be suboptimal in the kind of ROI that you're generating out of such events. So,
Okay, so content is the buzzword for you in 2024 as well?
oh, absolutely, content, data, and now with AI coming, and we use a lot of generative AI in our content now. I can tell you that lives are transforming,
So
and
what's your take on AI in education sector?
I think it's important. I think we all
Okay.
need to adapt to it. So, right from creating content for our pages to using it for generating videos and images. We use generative AI for everything. We also use LLMs for other aspects, like our counseling team has access to some of those data-led models, and we
Okay.
use AI to be able to predict the cohorts that will work for specific students. So we have a lot of data science in the backend, but generative AI is a different ballgame. It's going to transform things beyond what we know, and
Okay. And what?
we're keeping a close eye on that. Yes.
Okay. And versus human value, AI versus human value. What is your take on that as well?
I think
Is it going to replace that hot debate is like all over the internet and wherever you see?
while I'd love to have a longer conversation on that, and
Sure.
we, we study a
That's
lot
for
on
another
the
interview.
maybe for another one. But I don't think it's going to replace all jobs.
Sure.
What it
Yeah.
will replace is the way the job is done, number one. So, as an example, there are designers who are spending immense amount of time just creating backgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
Journey coming
Yeah.
in, that is here, right? There are a lot of videos which were generic videos about something which still needed human touch. Now they are able to sort of use their time better in visualizing rather than creating the video. So there are many, many benefits, specifically for content that I'm already seeing, also for data analysis and the insight mining that we do. So I think the kind of jobs will change. Creativity of a human being is irreplaceable. And I see no reason
Sure.
why AI is
I
going to take.
agree with you on that, Abhinav. I totally do. I think we're as dynamic as we can be, and AI cannot replace a human mind, right? At the end of the day, and that personal touch.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I completely agree.
Thank you so much, Abhinav, for joining me on this session. And that's a wrap on an enlightening episode with Abhinav Upadhyay of College Dekho. Abhinav, your insights into the convergence of education and marketing are not just inspiring, but also a testament to the transformative power of strategic marketing. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us.
Thank
To
you so
our
much.
audience, we hope this episode has given you a new perspective on the role of marketing in the education sector, especially in navigating the complexities of major events like the IPL and elections. Remember, in the world of education, every message counts, and the right strategy can make all the difference. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe to DMA Brandmasters for more deep dives into marketing strategies and that shape industries. I am Preeti Hoon, reminding you to stay curious, stay informed, and keep innovating. Until next time, keep making your mark in the world of marketing. Thank you so much for watching.